Hey, Mega Moms. Jessica Hensley here.
And Stephanie Stockburger.
I choked up for a second. Sorry. Stephanie, why don't you introduce us real quick?
Alrighty. Stephanie Stockburger with Real Estate Mega Moms and Miss Jessica Hensley, who is taking a drink from a cup. Thanks for hanging out with us on Monday morning here at Real Estate Mega Moms.
Yeah. So we had a special guest lined up. We're going to talk about today when scaling back is the only option or the best option, and how to know if that's for you. And what do we mean by scaling back? I mean, there's so many things we're going to talk about, and I'm excited to dive in with each of you. But our special guest was sick when we originally planned this, and now there's just a schedule conflict. So we're going to talk about it, Stephanie and I. We are both very familiar with this concept of being at the very top of our industry, the very top of our production, really just going, and pushing ourselves, and then making the decision when we hit that number one spot to maybe reassess some priorities. So I'm excited to talk about this today and hopefully kind of change some of the conversation around success in real estate. I see several of you are watching right now live. So let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what area you serve. And maybe let me know, have you ever thought about scaling back and doing less? Stephanie, I've been talking to several people the last couple weeks about one-on-one coaching. We're doing like strategy calls. And one of the first things I go through with my clients is what do they actually need to survive and what do they actually need to reach their goals? And I'm talking, big dreams, big goals for their family. And do you know, most of the people that I'm talking to, they can reach their goals between 20 and 36 transactions a year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, success doesn't equal 500 in most cases, doesn't equal 500 transactions or 400 transactions. Success is different for everyone. And that's a really good point, Jess, what you were saying on 20 to 30 transactions. I mean, that is a big number and something to be very proud of. So I think that defining your success is the key.
Yeah, and I think that, part of what happens as you are successful. So, just a little background on me. I have been like top of my market, number one spot for the last 8 years. And I am making a shift this year to shift my focus to more coaching and showing people how they can have their individualized success. And I'm really excited about that because that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I love doing. I'm blessed to be at EXP and have over 96 people in my downline right now. And so, there's God's blessed me in so many different ways. And so I kept asking myself, is it necessary for me to continue with the intention of being number one, or am I okay with shifting my focus? And so we have Susan watching from New York, scaled back last year, working small, smarter, not harder. Exactly. Eliza, Dayton, Ohio, took a full-time job for some stability, looking to work smarter, not harder. I love it. And so, yeah, so I've made that shift and that change, and it's interesting. It's an interesting process. I shared at the conference this year, and we've talked about it in post, but how our worth is not defined by how many transactions we have. Because Stephanie, social media, we get on there and we see I sold this or this success story. And it's like, if you're not careful, social media can be so toxic because all you see is someone's highlight reel. And then when you feel down on yourself, it makes you to feel less than, or like you're behind the ball or discouraged. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like, when you say that you're okay with not being number one, it's really important to feel that, not just to say that, because I think we have to let go of our egos a little bit. I mean, we have to get our egos in check and realize, is success to you being number one? Which, Jess, I've never been number one in our area. I've been number one at the office before, so I don't know what it's like to feel it as far as the area and whole. But I have had places in my career where I've definitely done even, 4 to 5 times what I do right now in numbers. And what I had to realize is that it isn't about the numbers. It isn't about what the community thinks of me being number one or number one in my office. It really is. It boils down to you. I mean, like, what are you willing to sacrifice? I'm not willing to sacrifice my family to be number one. So I think a lot of it is letting go of your ego, and getting that in check.
And also like finding what you are passionate about, you know. So for a long time, real estate is my passion. I still love real estate. But I found that I love coaching more and I love helping other people more in business planning and strategizing and helping them succeed. And when I realized that, you know, my own success, I almost felt like I needed to keep it up to show, hey, I can be successful. I can be number one. And I have been. I have been. But it's okay to step back a little bit, and it's okay to focus on your family, and it's okay to focus on other passions. And you know, it's at the end of the day, I think where I came from is, okay, I've reached the highest I can possibly reach in my area. Now what? What's the next challenge? You know?
Challenge. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like an internal challenge for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I know, like Amanda, the one that we were going to talk to, she shared at the conference and she shared with me in one on one. She was or is a broker owner. She had multiple locations and she basically decided to let go like 90% of the agents in her office so that she could really scale back and just focus on the things that were bringing her the most joy and the most money, and to kind of get rid of some of the extra baggage and chaos going on in her life. And for you, Steph, I was hoping you could share how you had a team and what was that pivotal point whenever you decided, I don't want this big, huge team anymore. I want simple. I want it to be me and my husband, and now it's your son as well.
Yes. So I grew just organically, and I hope I'm not echoing. I'm sorry, my microphone is not working, but I grew organically. So I started adding people to my team out of really necessity. And the more I was adding people to my team, I realized, well, I've got to have a place for all of these people. And so I started to add overhead. And the overhead all of a sudden was putting me to work every day. And so at that one point, I had 5 agents on my team, 5 licensed agents, and then a full time assistant. And I had overhead and of an office space. And Brad had actually decided to join me and sell real estate. And it was really at that point where I decided, was I going to work to pay the overhead? Was I going to work to do what I love, or did I want to go to work and be a partner with Brad and scale down? So, really, what I did, Brad and I decided to just scale down on everything. We let everyone pretty much, we didn't renew their license or their contract with us. So, we didn't renew their contracts and we decided just to simplify everything. And it was really that we decided that we can net about the same. It doesn't have to be about the big GCI number. It really is just what we're netting and what's comfortable for our family.
Yeah, and that is key right there. And I was gonna say that earlier and I lost my train of thought, I guess. But I think that so many agents work to pay their overhead. You know, that actually if they could scale back some of their services and programs that they're doing and just get simple again, go back to the basics, they would end up netting more, and so like something we teach in the inner circle, for example, we teach you to have 3 lead sources. So if you were to really step back and think about it, and I'm asking the people that are watching or listening right now, if you would think about it, how many lead sources do you have? So if you're paying for things like Zillow and Realtor and you know, all of the other different lead gen type things, plus you're doing open houses, plus you feel like you have to do 2 or 3 reels a day on social media and you have to message 20 people a day, and you like your list keeps going on and on and on. I think sometimes we make things more complicated, right? More complicated than they need to be, and more overhead than we need to have. So if you could really strip back and just get back to the simple life. And I think that maybe I'm just going through this as a whole in my life. Everything, and some of it was things I didn't actually intend, but God's like, okay, I'm going to peel this off and I'm taking this away. And so our house just went under contract unexpectedly. So we're going to be downsizing and living in a camper for probably 6 months while we build a shop house, which is also not going to be huge. And then maybe one day we'll build our dream house. But so like I'm just reevaluating. I'm reevaluating where my money's going. I'm reevaluating where my time is going. And it's what we preach and teach. And I'm like, I'm going to live it. I want to live where my time is spent where I love, who I love, with who I love, and doing what I love every day.
Yeah, and that's to be able to, like, pick and choose your business as well. That's not putting up with a toxic client because you have to pay overhead. It's basically it's you doing what you love and being able to live the life you dream just because, again, you're doing what you love, you're not overdoing the overhead, and I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time speaking today.
Oh, you're good. You're good. But yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, that's what we would like to ask each and every one of you that are watching right now. If you were to honestly evaluate your business, what I'm hearing from so many is that they feel like they're burned out. They feel like they're spread too thin. They feel like they're doing way too many things and they don't really know where to start. And so, my advice to each of them is first, you have to know your finances. You have to know where your money's going. So, scrub your finances, both personal and business. If you are struggling, and it could, maybe it's not financially you're struggling, maybe it is with your time, but still start with your finances because you need to know how much is going out and where maybe you're wasting, and maybe there's things you're paying for that, like Stephanie said, you're basically working just to pay those extra bills. So start there. And what you can determine from that is your survival number, which means this is what it takes for me to make it, right? This is, I'm going to pay my basic bills, pay my basic, living expenses, food, gas, those kind of things. And start with that number. And then the next number is your thriving number. So this is where you get to close your eyes and dream. And Steph, the exercise I like to take my clients through is just imagine, if you want to do this with me, as long as you're not driving right now, close your eyes, and imagine that you've opened your eyes 5 years from now and you've woken up to a life that you love. And you're able to say, wow, my life is awesome. And what I want you to do is grab a notebook and start writing down what that means. Describe to me, where do you live? What does your house look like? What does your relationships look like? Maybe even describe like how old your kids are and what grades they're in, and what you do, what you spend your time doing. How many hours a week are you working? What are you doing? What type of work are you doing that you love? What does your body look like? What does your health look like? So describe those things. And then that should give you an idea of what you're working towards and how you can start making those steps to get to that in that 5-year time period. I know you've done that exercise before.
I love that exercise, and actually, I think that's good to do maybe even a couple times a year. Just because things change. We are in the hustle and bustle of life. And then even you just saying that, Jessica, kind of brought me back. It's like, wait a second. What are my priorities? What do I want out of this life? Am I living the life that I want to live? So I think you have to check in a couple times a year at least to remember what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if so let's just kind of play it out a little bit. So let's say you woke up and you're in your dream home, maybe it's by a lake. I know for a while that was one of your dreams,
Oh,
right?
I love lakes. Yes.
Yeah. And so you know that your life is supported by your business, by your real estate. So what I want you to do there is like, what does it take to fund that life? Right. So this home, ask yourself, what would that cost? Right. And so when you know, okay, this is a 500,000 or 750,000 or whatever home, then you're going to back in that. Okay, what do I need to save for a down payment? What do I need to pay off to qualify for that type of loan? How much income do I need to make to qualify for that kind of loan? So then you start to, back in the logistics, because what do they say? A dream without a plan is just a wish, right? And so that's not what I want for you guys. I want you to actually put a plan to your dream, and it can be broken in. I think it's Gary Keller who says you can be anywhere you want in 5 years. Anywhere you want. You can have any dream you want.
And it doesn't need to be this extravagant thing.
No,
When
it doesn't.
talking through that exercise, I was thinking, actually, I want a simpler life and a more downsized life than I am striving for every day. Every day
Mm,
I'm getting up and doing the work. So this is kind of even reining me back. It's like, where do I want to be in 5 years? Yes, a little itty bitty place by the water. And I want to have like a condo by my grandkids, hopefully. I mean, they're not crazy expensive dreams. And so I need to remember that every day, really what I'm going for. And that's just time with my family. I mean, that's success for me.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. My yoga instructor, she says, like, when I'm doing my poses or whatever, she's like, "Imagine your favorite place that's grounding you." And you know where my favorite place is, Steph?
No, tell me, I'm dying to know. Is it?
It's on my back porch.
With coffee and your
Yeah.
slippers.
Yeah.
I
It is,
love
and of course, we're getting ready to sell that house, but yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I could totally imagine a number of things. She always says, "What about, by the beach, or maybe you're in the mountains?" And I'm like, "No, I'm at home just chilling in my on my back porch." Like, that's my favorite place. I'm kinda simple that way, but, it's a good reminder because when we are in hustle mode, which if you've listened to us for very long, we are anti-hustle. We do not believe in hustle. We believe in being intentional with your business, intentional with your actions so that you can have the life that you want. And I would challenge most people about what you actually want, because I think that sometimes we're just on this path to success that we feel is laid out in front of us. It's like, okay, I became a realtor. Great. Now I want to, maybe be in the top 50, or I want to sell X number of houses because, or maybe top of my office, right? And then I want to be top in my area, and I want to build a team. And by the way, don't build a team with other agents. That's a whole nother subject, but
yeah, that
yeah.
is.
And so people, I think realtors especially, we are just looking for the accolades, looking for the trophies. And what we don't realize is sometimes those trophies and accolades come with high price tags that we end up having to wake up and grind to pay for.
Oh, that's absolutely what was happening with me is I was then going to work to support other people so I could pay for the overhead to support them. And that goes back to that team thing that you're talking about. There's so many better ways to do that, especially with your micro team that you're doing, Miss Jessica. But really, Brad and I, once we got to a point where every month we would look at our credit card statements and make sure that we deleted whatever we wanted or whatever we didn't need. It's amazing how we leveraged back to the same net. I mean, it really is. And we didn't have to do all those things that was consuming my time and I didn't love every day. I didn't have to do those things every day. So I think you have to check in with yourself. I know I do, to make sure that I'm not going down that path again of getting bigger, 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 wanting more, more, more. It's so easy, especially with social media now. It is so easy to get caught up in that. Trying to check in with your priorities, every once in a while it's what helps keep me grounded anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and we're by no means are we saying that you can't have big dreams. You totally can. And maybe your big dream is I want multiple vacation properties. I know one of our Mega Mom Tribe members, Christy Costa, she has multiple vacation rentals, I believe. And and
Look
Nellie,
at Ellie.
yeah, Nellie Dexter, exactly. She has an expansion team in California and also in Wisconsin. And so by no means are we saying that you can't have big dreams. You absolutely can and you should, but let it be your dream. Don't let it be someone else's dream. Yeah.
Amen on that. Let it be your dream.
Yeah. And it's okay if your dream changes. It is okay. Right. And I think that, something we can do and we should do as moms, as real estate moms, we need to involve our families in the dreams, and we need to get their buy in. of what's going on in our family. Because if you are working more that week than maybe you would like, but you know it's for your dream and your kids are on board, there's going to be a lot less, Mom, what are you doing? Right? If they're in the loop and they know this is how it's going to impact me as a member of this family, but also our family as a whole.
Yeah, Macon loves it. He actually thinks he's going to take things over someday, and I'm sure he will. I mean, he is part of it, and my older kids are obviously part of it as well. Jacob's actually selling real estate with me, so I think that's a great idea. I mean, nothing says that your family can't be along for the entire ride.
I got to talk to my brother-in-law yesterday because he just passed his school test. So he's getting ready to take his real estate test. Yeah. Larry, my sister's Julie, my sister, her husband. And so he's going to be on my team and, join me at EXP, and he's going to be in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And so I'm really, really excited. That's where all of our family lives. And so I got to go through some of these exercises with Julie and Larry on Saturday, and we were like dreaming and thinking about how Julie, my sister, can get her license and help him. But it was just so cool, to go through our business in a box with them and talk about, okay, what do you need? So Julie right now has a job that she doesn't love. So she's ready to retire that job and, help Larry in real estate. And so I said, okay, what would it take to get you out of that job and, for you to be able to be at home and do something like this with Larry? And I think it was something like 1 or 2 transactions a month. I mean, it was so, so simple and so doable. And I think a lot of us start there, right? We're just like, if I can just sell 6 or 12 houses a year, I'll be great because, well, let's be honest, in real estate, that can still be a really great living, right? And, I'm not saying limit your goals, definitely not saying that at all. But I'm also saying don't beat yourself up if you are comparing your 12 transactions a year to someone's 60 transactions a year.
Absolutely. That thought process that your sister and her husband are going through is something that Brad and I did as well. And the biggest thing for us was health insurance. So, we backtracked again to say, what do we have to come up with every month? And, 2000 of that was health insurance. So I live life in transactions. So I'm like, okay, 1 transaction a month, and then we have health insurance paid. One
Yeah.
transaction a month, and then your mortgage is paid, or whatever the case is. So I understand that thought process.
Yeah. Well, we hope that this was helpful and encouraging, and that you are going to walk away from this really being clear on what your goals are, and maybe go back and watch. Remember, you can always listen to us on iTunes. I was going to say podcast, but that's what it is. It's a podcast, but you can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcast.
Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, iTunes, wherever. You can also watch this on YouTube channel. Just type in Real Estate Mega Moms and we'll pop up there. So you can go back and you can listen and you can pause and maybe write down and go through what are your big goals? What are you dreaming of? And how can you put action to that? So it's really important once you know where you want to go that you start thinking, how much is this going to cost me? How much is it going to cost me time? Is it going to cost me more money? Is it going to cost me discipline? Is there a skill I need to reach this goal? Those are the 4 questions you ask yourself about your goals. And then you can start to see how it can formulate into a plan that you put into action every week.
That is awesome.
All right, moms. Well, we will see you next Monday, and be praying for Stephanie. Stephanie, I hope this is okay to share because I know our moms would like to pray for you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so a week from tomorrow, I'll be getting back surgery or neck surgery. So those of you that have been with us for a while probably have saw me progress into a little bit of a shell here, but I'm hopeful for the surgery next Tuesday.
And pain relief and
Pain
all
relief,
the things.
yes.
Yeah. So, all right, moms, well, have a great week and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.